Hey guys, how's it going? So today I want to do a really quick video just showcasing my starting point with Laravel projects and new projects in general. This isn't necessarily about new or different packages I install in Composer or anything like that. It's just what is the base project that I like. What is the first thing I do when I install a new, I new up a new Laravel project. So with that, let's just jump right into the code. So the only thing I've done here so far, you can see it right here, is just install Laravel. So I did Laravel new starter, and then I jumped into Sublime. I also made sure that it actually works. So that's kind of really the first step, is just I use Valet. So just on the off chance something explodes, I run whatever it is it needs to be, starter.dev in this case, just to make sure that it's actually doing its thing. Next thing I do is I go into the app directory and I add two folders. First new folder I add is models, and next one I usually add is repositories. Now those get created because I do like to do the kind of idea of repositories and keeping my models pretty thin. That happens 95% of my projects, but again, it sort of depends on the size of the thing. So I usually still create the directory. I may not use it if all of a sudden the project I'm working on has one user model and no crazy logic on it, but there you go. I then move my users model over to the models directory. Now with that, you got to make a couple changes, obviously. So we go in here, app, models. I delete these comments. I'll come back to this file, but just to finish the thread of things you need to change. So you add, obviously, app models, go into config, auth, scroll down to about the middle, line 67 or so, change the model to app models, just so that way when you're using this, it can actually find it. Now, coming back here to the model, I also change fillable to guarded, and I add in here ID, created at, updated at. Now, the next thing I do is just some env variable stuff. So I'll go into, let's go into my app.php file. I always add two things, which are right here, time zone and UTC. So env app time zone app locale. I change those two, and then I go into my .env file, app time zone equals app locale equals en. I may leave this blank, or I may change it to my time zone, but that's kind of a good starting spot. Then again, I'll change this to whatever the name is, starter, whatever the database name happens to be. And again, I know I'm not using Homestead, I'm using Valet, so this is just root and password. I don't mind showing you this because, again, this is all local to my machine. If you have my machine, I've got other problems to worry about, other than if you get access to my local databases. All right, those are gone. Now I kind of delete a bunch of things that, again, I know I don't need. So the env.example, this one kind of depends on who or what size group I'm working on or with. if this is a project that I'm doing for myself, I will delete the env.example file. If this is a group project or with a company or multiple other people for whatever, and I keep the env example because I do want a starting point for people. If just so that way they have something, they have an env file that they know, so they remember they actually have to create these things, and they'll come to me and say, hey, where's the env file? But in this case, let's just say this is me working on this project. I delete. Yes. And there's a few other things I delete. Now at this point, I usually kind of leave the app or the Sublime, and I go into my Finder window just because it makes things a little bit easier to delete things quickly. Get attributes, get ignore, they go away. Yarn.lock, and I don't use Webpack, so those two things go away. Package.json goes away for me. Going to resources, I delete the assets directory. I go into public, I delete the htaccess because I use Nginx, the CSS, JS, and robots. I'll leave the favicon because it's fine just to have a little favicon. Now, you may just be sitting there saying, wait, why did you delete all of the CSS, all of the JavaScript? It's because I usually have a starting point for all of my code. So I have a front-end framework that I use myself. So I don't need any of that boilerplate stuff. So again, I blow it out. I don't use mix, so I delete all that stuff. So now this is pretty much my, and I delete the get, ignore, and the attributes file, the main files, because again, I know that when I pull in my code, it comes with a pre-built get ignore file for me. So I don't need to worry about it. And just one last check, see if there's anything going on crazy here. Yeah, so the first thing it's going to say is, dude, you don't have a time zone set. Now, like, what did you do? Because my time zone is blank in my env file. So I can either delete it like that, and it's taking the default UTC, or add it back in and just say UTC. Either way it works. Everything's good, everything's kind of hooked up. Now this is the point where I would usually, I'd pull in my front-end code, and I'll do my first initial commit for Git, push this into a repo so it's created and it's ready to go. And then I'm off to the races. But that's pretty much it. So that's my starting point. Really, the only crazy thing I think I do, not crazy, but just the thing I do is just I create the models directory, move the users on over to it, and then everything else is just kind of like deleting stuff. So that's it. So in the comments below, please let me know if there's anything you do that's kind of interesting, but you do it on every project. Or if you think this is weird or something I did was interesting, let me know. Thank you very much. Talk to y'all soon.